Hello, everyone. Welcome on to Branded, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. Today, we are talking about the hidden cost of disorganization. Plus, I have a really fantastic free resource for you guys. So, head to the show notes and download that. It's going to help you declutter, simplify, and organize. So that way, you can really unlock your creative flow and streamline your marketing. So, that's in the show notes for you. Let's dive right into this episode. So, disorganization, first and foremost, like, yes, it's messy, but it's also a fucking money pit. It's a silent killer of your creativity, your efficiency, and honestly, the success of your brand's operations and marketing. Think about it. Like, think back to a time when you were trying to find some files for your business and it took you forever and a day to track it down, or you're having to redo some work because you forgot you did it in the first place, or you can't find it. Or maybe you have some really messy processes that just aren't actually helping you run your business smoother and smarter. And, time is money. And so disorganization is like literally robbing us blind of our time. So we're here to fix that. That's what today's episode is all about. So, some signs of disorganization. First, we're going to talk about maybe identifying some of these areas where you might be seeing disorganization rear its ugly head in your business. And then we're going to talk about some solutions for it. So, first off, brand confusion. This is a big one because if people are confused by who you are, what you do, how they see you, right, across all of these different channels, if you're using different mediums, if you're on different social media channels, like it can be tricky. And having brand confusion, I mean, honestly, a confused mind does nothing, right? So you don't want your audience to feel confused because in turn, it's going to like really water down your powerful messages of, what it is you're doing and how you can really help somebody find the success they're looking for simply because your brand is a little bit confusing and disorganized. Nobody wants that, right? There are solutions to fix that, and we're about to get to those. Another way that you can identify some disorganization is wasted resources. Now, this is like your messy systems. Maybe you have subscriptions that you don't even know you have anymore, right? You're paying for stuff. You have parts of your business, sitting over here, and then another part sitting over here, and then another part sitting over here, and you forget that they're even there. And so you get these wasted resources where you're searching for files, you're missing deadlines, you potentially lose collaborations, and you end up spending more time and money duplicating your efforts because you don't know where your shit is. And it's okay if you're here. If this is your reality right now, it's okay, right? This episode is to really help you identify where disorganization might be hanging out in your business so you can eradicate it, right? In addition to wasted resources, you might have some missed opportunities. You might have, trends or deadlines or collaborations or interviews in the works where your systems just aren't organized enough that you end up missing these deadlines. Like maybe you haven't quite honed in the skill of how to use a calendar yet. I know that sounds like a silly thing, but honestly, it took me a good year or so to really identify how to use my Google Calendar that supported me and the way I work. Because I tried, of course, you sort of reflect what other people are doing, and it's kind of human nature that you're going to do that. But you really have to determine for yourself what systems and processes actually fit around your life because your day to day is uniquely yours. When you like to take showers, when you like to eat your food, when you like to do your work, when you feel the most energetic and when you don't. Like that is unique to you. And so, really getting your calendar and all of your systems organized in a way that reflects your day to day life and how you function the best, it takes time and you kind of have to figure it out. But in the process of developing that, having disorganized systems is only going to make it harder. So, really identify, do you have stuff on your calendar? Have you been missing appointments? Where can you fix that? Where can you come back and say, okay, let me learn from this opportunity and I don't want to miss another one, right? And then, of course, another way that disorganization is going to rear its ugly head is burnout. You'll start noticing that your disorganized operations are creating stress. They're creating stress for yourself. If you have a team of people, it is absolutely creating stress for them as well, because these disorganized systems, you're essentially having to constantly fix and tweak rather than just doing the work you're actually trying to do, right? So it creates this other layer of stressful, just anxiety ridden moments because you're like, what the fuck? I just wanted to do this task, but because it wasn't the way, it wasn't in the file I wanted it to be, and I couldn't find it, I ended up doing the work twice. It's just this snowball effect. So you see how disorganization can quite literally rob you of your time and your energy. And it is one of those business systems that is really important to pay attention to. And I'm not saying it's every single day of the week that you have to like come into your operations and say, okay, where am I disorganized today? It's not going to be like that. It's sort of a domino effect, I guess you could say, is everything's disorganized all the time at once, and then you start taking baby steps, right? Bite-sized pieces like Pac-Man or something. You just start taking these bite-sized pieces to start eliminating bits and pieces of disorganization as you come up to them, right? As they become aware and visible to you, you fix them. And having that awareness is ultimately the thing that's going to help you scale and find the success and create the organized systems and all of that. So we went through some ways of identifying disorganization, right? Brand confusion, wasted resources. You might be paying for subscriptions you don't even use, right? Missed opportunities and burnout. So how do we eliminate all of this, right? Let's talk about how to clean up and simplify our branding, our marketing, our operations. First off, clarity and consistency. Having a unified brand voice, look, feel, style, all of that. It's going to help people, for one, right? It's going to help them identify you. Okay, yes, this is the person that I saw 2 weeks ago on my feed. Awesome. I remember her. I liked what she had to say. Okay, it looks the same. She sounds the same. It feels the same. She's the same, right? You have to understand, people are looking at their feed, they're looking at their emails. I mean, there are hundreds, and this is like on the low end, right? There are hundreds of things, information that people are consuming every single day. Honestly, this could be in the thousands if somebody is on social media scrolling constantly. So, having that clarity and consistency in your brand voice, your visuals, the emotion that it invokes, like all of that is going to help trigger that RAS system in the consumer's brain to say, "Oh, I recognize this person and this thing and this message, and okay, let me sit and listen to it again. Let me engage with it again." You want to activate that RAS system. You want people to start to recognize who you are and what you do. Of course, you're also going to start having better efficiency and better productivity when you have streamlined processes. These allow you to focus, like really focus on the things that you love to do, right? Hone in and focus on the creativity that your business is so thirsty for, right? Hone in and refine the strategies that your business can really, really thrive from. Like, that's a huge perk of creating organized, simplified systems is the efficiency and the productivity that you see on the back end. Not only is all of the systems and everything like that going to create more efficiency for you, but it actually will make your decision making easier, faster. It'll make your decision making more efficient because you actually feel confident in knowing you know where the files are, you know where to make that thing, you know where to find that thing, you know where to tap into that resource. Like, having your brand be organized and simplified, it means that all of your decisions are going to come easier because you're not having to sift through the junk drawer of your business to find the thing you're actually looking for. Like, honestly, that's the best analogy I can think of, is like everybody's got that one junk drawer in their kitchen, right? and you open it up and you're like, okay, I've got batteries, I've got rubber bands, I've got pens, I've got markers. Like you have all of these different things in there. But some of us are running our businesses like that. And even my junk drawer, I go and I organize on a regular basis. And I only still call it my junk drawer because it's like random shit that I don't need all the time. But I mean, I made sure and I bought something from Amazon, like a little organization holder, right? Let's put the batteries in one section, let's put the pens in another, because I know that a disorganized mind and a disorganized physical reality is only going to perpetuate disorganization, period. Like how you live your life is how your business will be reflected of it. And so if you've got something like the junk drawer, go and clean that shit up. You know, it's only going to help reflect into your business. And if there's something in your business that's like that, like let's say you've got a file on your computer that literally you just dump everything into and it's not organized into folders and it doesn't make sense, I'm telling you, that is wasting your time. Be very intentional about the work that you're doing and the things that you're creating. Like they're worth something. And who doesn't want to make decisions easier simply because you're not having to deal with all of these disorganized processes and systems, you know? And then, of course, one of the most important parts of having some simplicity and some organization is customer loyalty. Your clients will start to feel how stable you and your business are, right? You start to create these memorable experiences for people because they don't feel like they're being ping ponged around all over the place. It actually just makes sense. Like it flows. You know, they opted in for your free resource. They got an email from you. They actually got the resource. And now they're getting regular communication from you, whether it be via social media, continued email campaigns. You told them what to do next. Maybe they booked a call and they got to actually talk to you. Like this creates customer loyalty because you've kept the conversation going and it's been in such a clean and cohesive way that for them, they're like, well, this just makes sense. I'm just going to stay the course because this feels good. Simplicity and organization, decluttering, this is going to create client retention. 100%. It will every single time. Now, what are some strategies? Let's talk about some strategies that you can use to stay organized and to simplify. First off, document your brand. And what do I mean by this? I mean having something like a mood board, a brand board, somewhere that is accessible for you. So you know all of the color codes, right? All the hex codes for the colors that you like to use. Maybe you're using a new platform and you're building out things and you need to know what colors are, right? Black is not always just black sometimes. Sometimes it's a shade of black. White's not always just white. Sometimes it's a shade of white. You know, your yellows can be different. Your reds can be very different. There are gradients of all of these colors, and having that very unique hex code of the colors that you really love to use somewhere all in one place, I'm telling you, it's a time saver. Having your fonts, whatever fonts you like to use, I would stick to about two. But if you want to have like throw in a third or a fourth when it comes to sort of the scripty, loopy kind of fonts, something that's a little more unique that you don't use everywhere, but you use every now and then. But having your color codes, your fonts, any like kind of master imagery that you really love to use all the time. For me, I'm in my rebrand right now, and there's one particular image of a sunflower that I took back in July when I was on vacation in Colorado. It's a beautiful photo. And what I do is I utilize that image in all sorts of different ways because I'll add it into something and I'll only use like a little segment of the photo. I don't use the whole photo. Sometimes I do, but that's like a master image that I'm actually utilizing throughout my entire brand. So I keep it somewhere where I can always find it. Same goes for those color codes and those fonts. You want to have sort of this brand guide available to you. And the best place for me, it's in Canva. Save that shit in Canva. There's actually a section in Canva that says brand. Build out that section of Canva for yourself. Put your logos there, put your colors, put your fonts, add any photos you want. You can even add photos of yourself. Like it allows you to upload images there. And having that stored in Canva means that you can go right to that place. When, let's say, you're building a website or a sales funnel and you're inside of some marketing software and you don't have your brand specs like saved there yet, this is the one place you can go, right? So document your brand somewhere. What are the colors, fonts, images, and things that you use for your brand all the time? Keep it consistent and cohesive and save it somewhere where you know you can find it. Create systems. Create systems that are supporting all of these admin tasks that you have to do. I mean, as much as we would love to say that we can just be free spirited and creative in our businesses, that's one side of it, but there is admin work to every single side of every single business. Like there is something on the back end that is making something work. And so whether that's you doing that or that's somebody else you're hiring to do that, make sure that these admin tasks are in a system. They're sort of centralized somewhere where you know that you can always access them. I use an all-in-one platform called Sattva and I love it. I love it so much. I literally don't have to log into any of the other things that I use anymore, which is next to none, if I'm being honest. I had almost 10 different subscriptions running my business like a year and a half ago. Now I have three. Like I have trimmed the fat because you don't need it. All it does is create disorganization. If you've got your calendar over here, your emails over here, your website over here, your forms and surveys over here, your social media over here, like what? That can get so confusing. And honestly, there are far too many businesses running that way right now. And I come across clients all the time. And it hasn't really even crossed their mind that they're like, whoa, I can put all of that stuff in one place? That's got to be so expensive. It's not. It's under $100 a month, actually. So, having some sort of system that you know you can rely on, where you can put all of your systems and processes and operations all in one place, huge, huge time saver and even bigger money saver. Centralizing your files somewhere. Now, if you have an all-in-one platform, sometimes they'll have like media storage for you where you can actually centralize your files there. But if you don't, you could use something like Google Drive or Dropbox and simply just organize your stuff, right? File names so you know how to easily find it. If you need to segment things by month, if you need to segment them by year, if you need to segment them by, event, like make sure you have a filing system that 3 months from now you could go back and look at and you would actually know what you were trying to do. You could find the thing you're trying to find. So creating a system where you know you can come back and understand what it was you were doing 3, 4 months ago, that's hugely valuable because then you're not redoing the work, you're not spending forever and a day trying to find it. Okay, last couple things. Prioritizing what really, really matters to you most. So there are a ton of different places that you could be marketing your business, right? There's so many social media platforms out there. You do not have to use them all. I would recommend that you actually don't use them all until you really start to understand the ones that you love to use. And then if you feel like you're missing out on a market somewhere, then sure, go into another, social media channel and have fun playing with it. But you don't have to try to do absolutely everything. I tried to do absolutely everything a couple years ago when I first started, and all it got me was burnout, confusion, and burnout. Those are the things that got me. So instead, just trim the fat a little bit and you show up in the places that you like to be and really prioritize the things that matter to you and your business. You do not have to follow the trends if the trends don't speak to you. You know, like what was it 3 years ago? Everybody was dancing to music on their reels. That's not as much of a thing anymore. More now it's like more of this like B-roll, watch my day in 50 slides kind of thing where it's like click, 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 click. Well, as before people were like dancing and, whatever. I tried it. Guess what happened? I kicked a hole in my door doing a cartwheel in my office because I was trying to follow a trend. And I'm so embarrassed saying that, but honestly, it's true. that was what happened when I was trying to follow a trend. Like it just didn't work. Um, and so I had to really prioritize what mattered to me. And following trends like dancing on camera didn't matter to me. So I stopped doing it. Um, you want to also audit what you're doing kind of on a regular basis. So this could be, just a way to declutter what's happening. And I'm not saying like spend hours and hours auditing. This can be an ongoing kind of thing if you have the awareness around what it is you're looking for. But essentially, you want to review, okay, what are all the marketing things that I'm doing right now? How many of these marketing things are actually still up and running and working? Have some of them fizzled out? Can I revamp them? Do I need to remove them? Are any of these links broken? Like having this sort of moment where you can go in and declutter and refine what's actually out there and available and being marketed to people is really smart because someone may come across a broken link or come across a resource that isn't relevant anymore. Make some updates. And so I would say at the very least, do this once a year and maybe at the most once a quarter. It really depends how quickly your business is evolving and whether you are following trends or whether your business is running on more of like, with ideas and processes that are just sort of like tried and true and they don't really ever change. So understand that for yourself because everybody's going to be different on how frequently they really should audit their business. And then, of course, automate and delegate whatever you can. Now, if you heard a couple episodes ago, automation does not relinquish you of any of your responsibility of actually building relationships with your clients. There is still work to be done there, but you can automate and delegate parts of your business when it comes to, your email marketing. You can write and schedule stuff ahead of time. For example, I've got one of my clients, I have all of her email campaigns done through the end of December. And at the time of this recording, we are at the end of November, right? So I'm like a month ahead of time for her email marketing. Same goes with, blogs or podcasts or any of those things, anything that you're creating, those can be done ahead of time with scheduling functions inside of some of these softwares that we're utilizing. So capitalize on that. Same when it comes to social media. You can schedule out your content as well. I wouldn't recommend going further out than like 30 days at a time because honestly, you'll end up forgetting what you even were posting and you're not going to be engaged with your content, which means nobody else is going to be engaged with it either. So I only do about a week at a time, but you have to determine what's right for you. And then, of course, outsourcing whatever you might need. If there are tasks like you don't like writing your own emails, or maybe you just don't feel confident in doing that, hire that out. You don't like creating social media content or scheduling that, hire that out. You don't like creating your websites, hire that out. So there's people that do all sorts of skills. But automating and delegating what you can when it comes to these admin tasks or stuff that is sort of repetitively happening in your business, it's just going to help you simplify and organize your brand as a whole. It quite honestly has made a huge shift for some of my clients. Like I have some, which I'm going to keep everything anonymous, but one of my clients, I had a conversation with her just in the last couple months, and we were talking about her systems and her operations and how we have kind of started to simplify her offers even. And she was telling me how she's like, I've always had a really like great pool of clients. I've always been really successful. She said, but since I've started working with you, and it's been about a year that we've been together, she said that she's tripled her monthly income and it's like stayed tripled. Like it didn't just happen once. And she said, I think it's because I actually have more time to do the parts of my business that I really, really love to do, which is connecting with my clients, having those one on one conversations. And in the back end, she's seeing some of her other offers that don't require her to physically be there. They're selling. They're just selling over and over and over again because we've placed them in places that people are buying them, right? They read her book, they go to her website, they download the resource. They continue to get emails from her, right? Because I've helped her set up all of that stuff in the back end. So this nurturing that is happening while people are doing one thing, they end up being nurtured and encouraged to do 3 or 4 other things in the process of them being welcomed into her business. And it's creating more and more income. It's creating more repeat, returns to her website. It's creating people booking calls more and things like that. And that's what simplicity and decluttering and organizing your brand and all of your operations can really do for you. I mean, it literally scales your business because you have more time to focus on what you love to do. I mean, who doesn't want that? That's like the fucking win of all wins, right? So let's wrap this up with some actionable stuff. When it comes to decluttering a website or maybe organizing your content library, right? These are things that you can do immediately. These are really small, actionable steps. So first off, ask yourself, what is an area of my business that feels really cluttered right now? Then ask yourself, okay, what goal am I going to set in order to declutter that area? And then choose some sort of tool or technique to help you actually declutter that area. I have the perfect tool for you to actually start this, which is the free resource in the show notes, the Brand Simplicity Blueprint. It's super simple. It's got some great questions in there to help you do sort of a self-audit of your brand so you can identify, okay, where am I seeing this cluttering? Where am I seeing this disorganization really popping up in my business? And then you've got some resources in there to help you start to shift, right? Shift into simplicity, shift into organization, and have these systems, these operations, and this brand that is allowing your creativity to really flow and giving your systems that like space to breathe and really function at a high level. So head to the show notes, grab that free resource. I'm telling you, it is probably the easiest and simplest step for you to go take action today. And ask yourself, what's one thing that I can simplify in my brand today? I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast.